Hello, welcome. Very good morning. Glad you made it all in this lovely green room. Last month, October, was Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Just to warm you up a little bit, who was aware of cybersecurity risk at our organization? Who was asked to fill in a questionnaire, got emails, posters circling around? Raise your hand. Couple of people. Good. October was also a very important month in Belgium for cybersecurity. I guess you all know why, otherwise you wouldn't be in this presentation. NIS2 became effective in Belgium on the 18th of October. And today we're going to talk all about NIS2. I'm very glad to be on stage with Fabrice Clément. He's our group CISO since this year, and he's been leading cybersecurity for the past years in the Proximus group. My name is Wouter Vandenbussche. I'm leading the service and solutions team in Proximus Next. And today we'll talk about NIS2. Bit of a practical question. I see most of you are wearing the headset. There's a volume button as well in case you want to hear it a bit louder. So today we'll be starting the session with briefly introducing into the crux of NIS2, showing what the essential elements of NIS2 are. Later on we'll show how NIS2 is applied in an organization like Proximus. And implementing NIS2, as it's quite an elephant, is best done in slices. So we'll show how we approached it and what the initial difficulties were. In the last block of today, we'll be showing how we apply NIS2 in other organizations around the country. So without further ado, I give the word to Fabrice Clément, who will show you how we applied NIS2 into Proximus Group.
Thank you, Wouter. Hope you hear me well. So probably some of you knows already about NIS2, but some others might not know. So I will do a short recap about NIS2, and then I will introduce how we are implementing NIS2 within Proximus. Yeah. So NIS2, what it is about, NIS2 is a directive from the European Union, which aims to protect organizations that falls within the critical sectors. And I will explain a little bit the different critical sectors that are covered by NIS2. It's a directive, so it has to be transposed in national law, which has been done by the Belgian government in April already. And it entered into force on the 18th of October this year, 24. The government has assigned the Center for Cybersecurity Belgium as the national authority, the national cybersecurity authority in Belgium. And they have also the law, but as well the royal decree. So it has been published and signed in June. It imposes quite a lot of different obligations on the companies which are subject to NIS2. And so we have to report significant incident, and I will be back on that as well. We have to prove compliance, at least for the essential entities which have an ex ante supervision measure. So they have to produce and to show compliance. For the important entities, there is an ex post supervision, so they do not have to show compliance, but it's a voluntary basis, so they can really do that as well. The Center for Cybersecurity Belgium is the inspection authority, so they have the power to inspect the different companies, and I will also be back on that. And they can impose measures in case of non-compliance. So NIS2 will strengthen the cybersecurity across the European Union. So you have four main perspectives there. Cybersecurity risk management, which is an important pillar of the NIS2. So taking appropriate and proportionate measures to manage cybersecurity risk within your company. The second point is about reporting notification, reporting obligation. So we have to report significant incidents, incidents with a significant impact on your company. It can be impact on the provision of the service, but it can be as well impact on the recipient of the service. Then corporate accountability needs to set clear accountability to the management bodies of the company. So typically they will have to approve the cybersecurity risk management measures. They will have also to oversee the implementation. And then they will have also, each individual member of these bodies will have to follow training, specific training on risk management. And they will have as well to cascade the training into their own organization. Another important point is that risk zero does not exist, you know. So we have to be prepared for the worst. And NIS2 also highlight the importance of business continuity. So we have to be ready to recover from a disastrous event. So we have to have emergency procedure, but as well to have a crisis management organization. And that's very important. You have to set up a crisis management organization in your company. Timeline about of NIS2. You see the different milestones. NIS2 directive has been voted in December 22 and entered into force in January 23. Member states had to transpose the directive into their national legislation by 18 October 24. Only 6 countries have done that. So the others are working on it, but 6 countries did it. So Belgium was the first. We have as well Lithuania, Bulgaria, Croatia, Italy, so a few of them, but not many. So we have 27 member states, only 6 transposed the directive. You see as well that we have now to register the entities at the CCB, with the CCB, so at Safe at Work website. So it must be done now by the 18th of December for the essential entities, and it should be done before March 2025 for the important entities. Important here as well that you see that we will have to be compliant with the law by April 27 for the essential entities and by April 26 for the important entities and basic entities. Now, what are the sectors in scope? Those are described in 2 annexes, Annex 1 and Annex 2. Annex 1 for the high criticality sectors, where you find not only tech sectors, but as well health, energy, transport, water waste, water distribution, space, public administration. And you see 2 specific sectors which fall under the DORA regulation. It's a regulation, not a directive, so it's directly applicable to the member states, banking and all the financial institution sector. Then you have the Annex 2 with the other critical sectors such as the digital providers, research, postal and courier services, manufacturing, food production, waste management, and manufacturing and distribution of chemicals. So those are important entities. For the Annex 1, so the highly critical sector, it will depend whether you are a size and a location and the type of industry, whether you would be essential or important. So essential means that you have a turnover over 50 million euro and or a number of employees more than 250. There you will be essential. If you are below that threshold, you will be important, except for some specific sectors such as electronic communication services, DNS, trust services. They are always essential. 11 key measures which are highlighted in the law. You will see that in the Center for Cybersecurity Siphon, the cyber fundamentals. There are more than 200 controls, but here, highlighted in the law, you see 11 key measures: policies and risk management, incident management, supply chain security, business continuity, security by design, internal audits, compliance, training and awareness, cryptography, access, assets and HR security, multi-factor authentication and vulnerability disclosures. So those are, let's say, the basic measures that must absolutely be implemented, but you will see that there are much more controls in the cyber fundamentals framework. Measure in case of non-compliance, there is a kind of gradation of measures, starting from non-monetary measures, such as compliance orders, binding instructions, security audits, threat notification to your customers, so non-monetary measures. Then you have the administrative fines. For the essential entities, you will have fines up to 10 million euros or 2% of your turnover, whichever is higher. For the important entities, it's 1.4% or 7 million euros of penalties. And then you have the criminal sanctions, which would be applied to the legal representative of your company, typically make compliance violation public, making public statement as well on the individual, ban an individual, so a legal representative to hold a management position, and prevent gross negligence. When you discuss with the CCP, they do not want to apply penalties. So they said, okay, if we apply administrative fines, it means that this money will not go into your cybersecurity. So this would be really the ultimate measures that they will take in case of non-compliance, but the goal is really to go for compliance. Now I will explain a little bit how we do implement NIS2 within our company. And you know that Proximus is a large company, it's quite complex. So you will see that it is not a walk in the park. So first of all, we had to create awareness, and we started from the top. So we went to our board, to the audit committee, audit and compliance committee, to explain what NIS2 is about and their responsibility. So they have a clear responsibility, as I said. So they have to oversee the compliance measures. So they really need to understand the risk and to see whether we apply the right measures to reduce the risk. That's their role. Then we went as well to the executive committee and the leadership squad to create NIS2 understanding at that level, and what it means for the organization. What does it mean for Proximus? How will it impact Proximus? And we had also to request a sponsorship for the program, and you will see that we have almost half of the executive committee as a sponsor. Then we went to the senior management. So we did a tour of the management committee, also to explain what NIS2 is about, what is it for them, so what does it mean for their department, create a sense of urgency, and also be part of the steering committee. We set up a transversal program, a cross-divisional program, with 5 executive sponsors, our group corporate affairs chief, the chief of IT and transformation, the chief of customer operation, the chief of technology, and the chief of IT and segments, so the managing director of Next. We have a steering committee, as I said, with departments which are really involved in the compliance. So you will see there people from IT, people from technology, people from customer operations, but as well HR, physical security, for instance, as well. Legal is part of the steering committee. And then we approach the compliance on a service-based. So we have sliced the elephant, and I will explain a little bit more. But you see that we try to approach compliance on an end-to-end perspective on a service base. So we have NIS2 implementers, lead implementers for the different services, and they will address the different domains, technological domains, organizational domains, together with the control owners. So we do a gap assessment, and then we implement the remediation. We have a coordination within the different business units by a security officer. The security governance team is there to define the methodology, to document guidance, like incident reporting, playbook, and so on. And we have as well a program management team. Now, to demonstrate compliance, you have to be certified by an accredited body, accredited by the CCB, and you can use two different frameworks: ISO 27001 standard or Cyber Fundamentals. So here you have a quick comparison between the two frameworks. And so the ISO 27001 is a quite well-established international standard, with a wide recognition. It's already used and applied at Proximus since years, and so we have several certification, and it's combined with our quality standard, so the ISO 9001, and it focuses on a continuous improvement. The disadvantage there is that it could be intimidating for medium company, and it is less concrete and pragmatic, so it remains quite high level. On the other side, we have the Cyber Fundamentals, the framework of the CCB, which is a strong and concrete standard. It fits different organization size, so you have a reference for the basic, for the important, and for the essential entities, and then it focuses really against real threats. Let's say the drawback there is this is quite a long path to international recognition, and it is less risk-based because it is control-based. So it's a checklist of controls. So in our case, we choose both. So we'll go for both standards, but we will go for an ISO 27001 certification. So how do we approach it? You have to imagine that Proximus is more than 10,000 employees, more than 10,000 contractors. We have contact centers, we have a technological team, we have field technicians. We have more than 2,500 applications. We have more than 20,000 servers. We use Linux, we use Windows, we use clouds. We use our on-prem data centers. We have 1,000 buildings. So it's quite a very complex organization and quite huge organization. So we approach the NIS2 compliance by slicing the elephant. And I said we have an approach on a service base. So you see the different services there, the mobile data, mobile voice, fixed data and fixed internet or fixed voice, the cloud services or IT services, the connectivity network for our professional customer, TV services, cybersecurity services that we are providing, and so on. So we start first with the critical services for Proximus. Then we will go in second wave for the highly important services, and then the other services. So we have different phases. And what are we doing? We first validate for each services. We validate against the different norms, ISO 27001 and the Siphon plus the NIST. So we'll do a check of conformity. Then we will prioritize the gaps. What do we still need to do? And then we do the implementation of these remediations, going to an ISO 27001 certification. And then you have to know as well that it is a continuous improvement. So for the ones who have already an ISO 27001 certification, it never stops. So each year you have to improve. Some challenges then to conclude. We have multiple regulations. Typically, Proximus is also subject to DORA via the supply chain. The company structures, as I explained, it is quite complex. We have multiple business units, so our services are constructed across different business units. Resource consumptions, this company-wide certification is resource intensive, while we still have other business priorities. Awareness, creating awareness in a such large enterprise is quite not easy as well. And the supply chain, we have more than 2,000 suppliers, a lot of critical suppliers. So we have to apply these measures also to our supply chain. We are quite mature there already, so fortunately. So there is no challenge that cannot be overcome, so we have a good confidence that we will reach the compliance by April 27. Now I will let the floor to Wouter to explain how we could help you also in this
Wonderful.
journey.
Thank you, Fabrice. Very insightful on how we applied NIS2 in a Proximus group. Let's now look at how legislation can actually help customers drive digital transformation and make them more resilient. So when we talk to customers about cyber programs, they say many things that are their priorities. But if you really look at what they mean behind the words they're saying, you can actually distill this relatively simple view on their cyber program. And as organizations are becoming more and more digital, processes are automated, things are getting connected, and people are working digitally, a cyber strategy is essential to the digital transformation. And we see three main objectives coming back over and over again at our customers. Information is essential for companies. Without availability and integrity of your data, it's impossible nowadays to operate. Secondly, on the right-hand side, the resilience. Companies want to be more resilient in terms of protecting against cyber, but also recovering when something happens. And then the middle objective of cyber programs is about compliancy. And compliancy is not just a checkbox. It has really become an enabler to do business and more a prerequisite to do business. And like Fabrice said, we will check our suppliers on their compliancy. If they're not compliant, sorry, we cannot do business anymore. And that's also valid for us towards our customers. So linking your business outcomes to your cyber program and the other way around is essential. So the next step, also like Fabrice has shown, when you start implementing a program, you start to look at frameworks that can help you to build that program. We distinct three kind of frameworks. The first framework is about controls, about tangible controls. It's typically very pragmatic frameworks, and they focus on what to do. The Cyphon framework of the CCB is a very good example here. Depending on the maturity of your company, it gives you instructions on what you should do. Second type of frameworks are on architecture frameworks. They talk about how you should do things. Nowadays, zero trust is kind of embedded in all of these methodologies and architectures. And they talk about least privileged, verify, never trust, always verify. And the third group of frameworks is governance-based or risk-based. They talk about the why cybersecurity is important, and they link those risks to business objectives. The NIST CSF and ISO are a bit more into this category. At Proximus Next, we are using these frameworks to build our security portfolio. At the core of our security wheel, you can find the security controls. And these controls are about data and application, about networks, about hybrid cloud, about workplace and all type of things in your environment, and about identities and users. On the outer circle, you can find the NIST CSF functions. And those functions, they link those controls to the cyber risks. It's about identifying your cyber risks. It's about protecting against them with preventative measures, detecting what comes out, responding to those incidents, recovering from it, and the sixth function, which was this year added to the NIS framework, is the govern function. In Proximus, we see this as a three-part function, going from an operational to a tactical to a strategic level. Let's roll this out and discuss it a bit more in detail. And so if you look at those three govern functions, we see this as three distinct service groups, going from the operations, making sure that the cyber controls are available to use, to security management, where we actually use those controls in the context of the organization, all the way to security governance, where we define the program of a company. And if you look at NIS2, we can actually approach it two ways. We can approach it from a top-down perspective and a bottom-up perspective towards our customers. A top-down perspective really starts from the top, looking at the governance, building a program, and then executing it towards your controls. A bottom-up approach starts from your controls and map them towards the different risks that are out there. When we assist our customers in this top-down approach, we have quite a complete set of compliance services that we can use. These are very complementary in nature. It can be used plic-ploc. We can also use as an integrated framework. But most customers do start with a type of an assessment, a maturity assessment, where we can use the Siphon or the ISO 27001 framework to get a baseline of the maturity of organizations. And next step typically is to define a to-be state, either based on the obligations from NIS2 or your desired state, define the gaps, make a roadmap, and then execute on it. And that execution can again be enforced by our CISO department that can help you with that. So compliance services as a top-down approach. If you look at the bottom-up approach, we really start from the controls. And with that, I don't mean that a customer should not have an overarching view, but sometimes we can assist really with just a particular control, and then our role is to show the importance toward NIS2. And what we did, we actually looked at all of the different cyber controls we offer and how they map towards the different frameworks. And this is just a subset of some of the controls we offer towards our customers and how they map towards NIS2. Just to give an example here, the IoT visibility and security control. It's a control we recently added to our portfolio with our partnership with Armis, and you can see how they map towards basic, important and essential requirements from the Siphon. And just to pick one, I know it's all quite cryptic for you, but let's take the ID.am-1.1. You all know what it's all about, I suppose. It's a first control from the identify category, and it's all about asset management. And it says that you need to have a physical asset inventory, and that inventory has to be updated and maintained. This control allows you to do that. And this is just one of the, like Fabrice said, 200 controls in the Siphon. So it's essential to keep track of what you're doing in your program and map them to the actual outcome. So a top-down approach meeting a bottom-up approach.
Proximus next. Think possible.